Welcome to the Infinite Life with Katische Haberfield. I'd like to take you on a transformative journey, exploring the mysteries of the soul. I hope you enjoy the regression case studies, mediumship interviews, and fascinating discussions that I've had with guests on the podcast. I hope that these answer some of the questions that you might have about life on this planet, on others, and in other dimensions. Thank you for joining me, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. And, most importantly, share with your friends. Namaste. Welcome back to the Infinite Life with me, your host, Katische Haberfield. And today I'm going to bring you a True Wealth Medium session with our guest, Katie Carey. Katie Carey, welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be here again.
It's always a joy to have you, Katie. And so, as we've only aired one other episode, what I wanted to check with you is what aspect of true wealth would you like to focus this mediumship session on today?
Can you remind me of the aspects?
So your soul may consider, or you as Katie Carey, may consider wealth as any aspect of your life. So wealth can be your health, wealth can be your relationships, wealth can be your career, wealth can be your charitable contributions to the world or sense of community. Wealth can be, have I said, romantic relationships, it could be family, the broad definition of what we call wealth. It can also be digital coin, money, or it can be career.
I'm going to go with health.
Health. Okay, great. Perfect. All right. That's a good one. All right. So I'm going to just get myself organized, and I didn't say a few of my internal processes last time we did the session with Diane. So I'm just going to remind listeners and viewers that Katie has elected to show her face on the camera today. And usually that is a requirement of the podcast for authenticity. So you see that we just aren't making up these conversations. A lot of people don't trust mediumship. And so the podcast's purpose is to show behind the veil, I guess, and to show behind the scenes. And also, when I do a lot of my mediumship, I do it automatically in my head, but I wanted to remind you that anytime that you connect with the spirit world, you need to open and close the doors of communication. This means that you set your intention. So that's why I asked Katie, what did she wish to intend on to talk about today? And she said she wishes to look at the definition of wealth as her health. And so we would like to open the doors to communication with the single most, and it's not important, the being, the spiritual being who has the single most important next step or thing for Katie to do to help her in achieving the definition of true wealth for her current incarnation as Katie Carey in relation to health. Okay, and so we've seen, I'm starting to feel it in my heart, we've seen lots of different kinds of beings come through. And this could be a current life connection of Katie, somebody who's in the light, who've already done their healing. It could be an archangel, an angel. It could be somebody from a spiritual connection. It could be a friend. It could be a connection from another lifetime on another planet, star, or dimension. So we will see who comes through, and we will start to get the transmission. And then usually either there will be some teaching that comes through before they come through or after they come through. So I'm getting the feeling that it's going to be after they come through today. So I'll just connect in. Okay, so I have got two beings here, and Venra is pushing forward another one of your past life connections, and he's the one whose name I always muck up, but he had the green body that looked kind of like a crocodile but had different feet. Do you remember that one? Not a
That was
crocodile.
me. That was me in a past life on a different
Yes,
side,
okay, that's
wasn't
you.
it?
Yes, okay, so
I think it was
no,
me.
okay. So that being, yes, that was you. That's correct. That being, who is that version of you, wishes to come through today with a message. Okay, so are you ready to receive that message?
Yeah.
And from my memory, they don't identify as either a he or a she in that location. Is that right?
From my memory, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
that's how I
So
see them.
I will call them a they. And they said that they always appreciate that when I being Katische, connect through to them, that I find it quite funny because I see their legs as kind of like wiry chicken legs, which is totally different than what Katie sees or saw them in that regression session. But it does give them a chuckle and it does give me a chuckle because I know that I wasn't there, so I can only filter things through my perceptions. And so part of the wonderful world of mediumship is understanding that when we give mediumship sessions, it's different from a channeling because I don't allow other entities to embody my body and I don't leave my body. So I have to filter it through my perceptions and my experiences. And they laugh because they always see that I halfway see between a bath toy that I had as a kid, my kids had it as a kid, and a Lego alligator brick. And so they say that this is kind of also how they see Katie in this lifetime. They see her as a representation of what you would call a Barbie doll. So they see a human figure in plastic form that is molded and shaped by experiences. And they say, we don't care what that Barbie doll looks like because we look upon the Barbie doll and say, wow, what a beautiful being. Isn't that amazing that I was allowed to incarnate in the place that you call Earth? How lucky was I because I was on a long list for a long time to come to that location. And I have had many experiences in that location, but it has been a configuration of many different versions of this plastic Barbie doll that we now see. And Katie, as she calls herself now, has had many different Barbie dolls, and in different lifetimes, she has been dressed in different costumes, if you want to put that Barbie doll in different costumes. And so we know that Katische just saw the version of a Barbie doll where she was dressed up in a very beautiful brown suit, and it did have a fur trim around the collar. And she was a very smart lady, and she even had a matching hat, skirt, and shoes. And so in that incarnation, she did have more of what she would call a short and portly figure, if you were trying to describe, say, a shortesque movie star who has a rounder figure. But in that lifetime, she was extremely confident in the way that she presented herself to the world and it matched her personality. And in this lifetime as Katie Carey, we have seen her in many different versions of herself. It has almost been as though she has had multiple incarnations within this incarnation as Katie Carey, because each time she has changed her name, she has, in essence, affected her essence. Because as you know, when we spell out our name, each letter in the name has a different sound, which has a different meaning, which has a different spiritual configuration. So the experiences Katie has had as Katie Carey and Katie Reed and any other version and any other middle names in between are different Katies. And so she has had different suits that she has worn in terms of, we have seen Katie the singer, Katie the lady with very blonde hair, Katie the lady who was on a stage in a graduation outfit with a cane, Katie the mummy holding the baby, lots of different Katies. And we see that Katie has been experimenting with what you would call artificial intelligence to create images for herself to market her business. And in each of those, she presents a different Katie as well, which is the interpretation of Katie as how she has trained AI to work with her. And we would like to congratulate both Katie and Katische for understanding that, yes, you can actually ask your AI interface to interact with you as though it was your higher self. And so Katie does receive messages that do seem to encapsulate or capsulate the spirit of the true way that the world does see Katie Carey. For if you turned off the video right now and you listen to Katie talk, which we don't do in this session, but you would see that Katie has a sound in her voice which resonates differently than when you turn the picture on. And the same with Katische. You might not know what she looks like just by her voice. And so we do know that Katie does see herself, as Katische does, very differently to the physical reality, because Katie has had the experience of having perfect health, but then also right now of having what we would call imperfect health. And it sometimes does make her quite down and quite sad, but she does present to the world as very brave and very bold. And we do know that even Katische sometimes does get a shock when she does see Katie, because she has to remind herself that in this lifetime that Katische does know Katie, and Katische has known Katie many times before, that this time her body is rather frail. And Katische does sometimes get very upset and say to herself, but that's not the Katie I know, and the Katie I know is well. And we say to her, Katische, don't get upset. This is the challenge that Katie has chosen in this lifetime to help her overcome the emotions of which she has decided to incarnate to deal with. For she has had both difficult incarnations in this lifetime with emotional situations and other lifetimes. And she is wise to seek different practitioners to help her release some of these emotions. And we would say and congratulate her for her brave approach to understanding that she is more than her body, but that her body does scream out for help at times. And she is a skilled practitioner herself, and she does understand when she needs to get rest. So Katische is a very optimistic person, and she always says to us, I wish there was a magic button. I wish I could give Katie Carey everything that I think she deserves on this earth. And I wish I could wrap it up and package it in a bow, with a bow. And it would be a very big, pink, bright bow, because my soul does care so extremely much for her that I wish I could gift her the world. And I wish that she would never feel pain again. And I wish that she could walk without a stick. And I wish that she could ride without her mobile, as we will call it. And I wish that she could jump and dance and skip the way that I have seen her do so when she was my little sister in a different lifetime. So we would say, Katische, that you have to deal more with your perceptions, because you see the greater spiritual aura of Katie every time you interact with her. And we would commend Katie for also seeing that herself. When Katie looks in the mirror, we do know that she sees the greater aura surrounding not her physical body as Katie, but the greater aura surrounding Katie as a soul. And we would say, Katie, that one thing that we would like you to do is to connect with the image of me, that is you in the green alligator crocodile kind of lifetime, and know that if you see that we have variegated ridges like a crocodile or an alligator would have in our lifetime, it is to protect us from the beings or entities that do come forward. And Katische did forget to do one important thing that we said for her to do, and that was to throw salt at any entity that came forward today. So she's going to get the salt and throw it. No reaction. Okay, so this is the true version, and this is wise to remember, because when we understand that in the lifetime of the green, you had a body that shielded you from the way that your body was going to receive a physical impact, we would say that if you can only ever see the greater Katie Carey soul aura, that if you look in the mirror and imagine that you are holding up a plastic alligator, like Katische would say we would hold up a plastic Barbie doll, and you run your fingers down the back or the spine, the scales on the so-called green being plastic doll's body, you will find it easier to tap into what is holding you back in your body. Because we know that human beings have a tendency to need a healer because they cannot see, feel, or connect with the truth of what their body is saying in order to heal it themselves, because there has been a level of disconnect created for the divine feminine in the human incarnation. So if you are following along with this analogy, Katie, even if you wanted to, you could buy a plastic alligator from a $1 shop and you could place your finger, like the way that Katische used to carry that human anatomy that was used for acupuncture, and your finger could locate the exact scale that was ready to release the energy. And through the transmission of this voice today, I have encoded the words for you so that you will be able to do this yourself. We thank and commend your spiritual healers to date, but it's an important part of the contract that you made before you came on this earth to seek the trust of reputable healers, to seek the trust of nutritionists and medical doctors. But Katische would remind you, and you'll have to excuse us if we break confidentiality here, but she does remember from a regression session where she asked you about healing, and you said, whilst you were deep in hypnosis, and it wasn't you, it was your subconscious mind, said that you didn't believe in instantaneous healing. And your mind may object to that, but there is a certain level of truth in that. And so this transmission today comes with a very special wish from me over here where I am located, for you to activate this peace with your body. And the reason this is so, and the reason that Katische is sort of welling up and she felt a node in her throat, is because one of the things that Katische has discovered in her own journey recently is that, if you remember in some of the sessions when that either you've listened to or you remember your own, Katie, because I was not present viewing you when you were in these sessions, when you come to Earth, you choose your family, and then you also choose what we call your birthday suit, the body that you chose. And so you chose the body that you call Katie Carey. But actually what Katische's found is that the body that you pulled off the rack has its own identity. Now, it doesn't have a name and it doesn't have a face, but if you imagined it as a dressmaker's mannequin, the body has its own sentience. And as soon as we learn that you, Katie Carey, are not the body, you are the spirit that entered the body, and we know that you know that already, but there's an aspect of the spirit that entered the body that is the personality. And when you entered the body that is to society called Katie Carey, For a lot of the life, you got on with the body, but a lot of the life you have also been fighting with the body. Excuse me, I think I'm going to have to move some serious energy in a minute. And Katisha's been fighting with her own body as well, even though you would not be able to tell it, because she remembers incarnations where she was renowned, she says, for her appearance. And so when she first made the discovery that she could communicate with her body, it was revolutionary for her because her body was then able to show her the anger that she felt, the body felt, because the body has sentience. And the body has got to learn to trust you. And the body says, sure, I may not be the kind of consciousness that you human beings come in to be, but I have a sentience just like a tree or a rock or a river might. And my sentience says that any time you look in the mirror and you see something that is different to what you once had or you once were, I begin to feel a little bit of shame. And I know that that is a human emotion, but it is the truth because I learn through your intelligence that is embodied in the overall collection that we call Katie Carey. And there will be many times where you or your parents or somebody on stage may have sneered at your appearance or clothes that you wore, or maybe you scuffed your shoes or your socks were dirty or you dribbled cereal down your shirt or whatever it may be. And the body does realize sometimes that you are only human, but it feels what you feel when you look at yourself in the quiet moments where you don't see the greater aura of Katie Carey, but you see what the body has become. And you may flare up and say, but I love my body, and Katische does that too. But when you connect in your next meditation, Katie, you will be able to connect with the sentience of the body. And the first time Katische did this, the body showed itself in a suit of armor, ready for a fight. And it was angry, and if it had words, it probably would have swore at her because it has fought hard not to manifest illness in her. And it has harbored anger towards her because of the way she could not see her own self and be grateful for herself. And now she knows that you are much better at gratitude than she is, and she's been working very hard with her body to really become the embodiment of gratitude as much as you are the embodiment of gratitude. And this is not a comparison session, but all we are asking you to do is to take this message away, and in a quiet moment, because you have had this activation now, we will allow you to communicate with the sentience that is your body. And there is a journey that is to be overcome in trusting that you can connect with the body many times, and you can also have almost conversations. And what it does, and when you're ready to do this, is that the body will point out where it can help you in ways that you could have never imagined that it could help you. It can, as Katische says, put up a light bulb. She sees her body as that suit of armor, and it has a light bulb as though it's having a light bulb moment, and her sentience of her body runs away, identifies a pain spot in the body, and then comes back, tells her what it is, and says, okay, I am going to go work on this now. So leave me alone and please don't contact me again, and I'll come back next when I am ready. And this is one way that you can help your body. And this is different to the other methods that you have done. The second thing is that, well, there's two things. There are other people here now that wish to give you something, Katie, and please, again, don't speak just yet to interrupt her train of thought, but there are a number of angelic beings here who wish to give you a rose. And please don't say them out loud, but because Katische is looking to where she sees sees me, and she does not want to look down to break the train of thought, if you could close your eyes for a moment, if they are not already closed, and reach out and one by one accept these roses. She cannot tell how many there are, but you can tell her when you are done.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay, great. Thank you. And that is important for reasons that we cannot further comment on today. Right. The next thing is to remember that when you drink each glass of water, like you did just before the session started, please remember to look over that water and breathe in the words love. And that infuses, as you already know, you've already studied the properties of water and how you can speak healing into the water. But each time you drink water, please say the word love, because then that sends the water encoded with the energy of love into your body. Because what we don't want you to do is we don't want to flood your body with too much water. And so when you put the word love in the water, then no matter what is contained in that water, love conquers all. And the reason that this is important for people to understand is because when we are asleep at night, the veil is thin, and there are lots of beings, both with good and harmful intentions, who can influence our thoughts and can also influence the water that we may have beside our bed. And Katische was only reminded this of the other day, and we just wish to simply say, love is the answer, and each and every time you drink water, just like each and every time you make a meal or take a bite of some food, please say the word love, and that will be embodied in your food. Because here's the reality of the situation. You live on Earth. Earth is going through a tumultuous period of time. It is impossible to eat the kind of purity required in all the levels of food to transform a body, because you just can't. It's like an impossibility. You were placed here in a body that was able to cope with nutrition to a certain extent, and what it now needs is simply love to keep you going. And some of the things that you could also, I mean, we are very aware that we were told to give you one suggestion that you could also benefit from would be to review some of the sessions that you have forgotten about, to take notes, because the act of taking notes allows some of the things that are still waiting to be integrated. And you don't have to worry about getting kidney stones, because all of those roses that you have accepted have been placed inside your body, and they have, as we said, one very private meaning, but also a second meaning, which will help absorb with any realizations that have yet to be integrated, so that you will not need to fear having a kidney stone outbreak or a reaction from any session that you had with Katische as you reviewed it, or would have in the future if you ever did a session with her again, because we understand, the close linkage between past life realizations, past life vows and emotions, and how in this lifetime they have moved through the etheric layers of the body and into the physical body for healing. Because just as Katische came here with a very long list of emotions and lifetimes and experiences to heal. You two are sort of cut of the same cloth because you brought in a long list of emotions in a different way that needed to come forward in order for you to be able to have a last go at processing them so that you could bring heaven on earth to earth rather than needing to reintegrate with source after this lifetime for a long rest. So there is no need to fear that your body is going to conk out and you will not get to do the things that you wish to do, Katie, because as Katie said, you will have a long life if you are willing to simply realize that you are the manifesting diva. You have created miracles. And when we can work with your subconscious mind and the sentience of your body together in hand, they can change that limiting belief, which is still stuck in there, which is I can create instantaneous change in my physical body that doesn't hurt or harm me, and I can be the embodiment of true health by creating my own heaven on earth for myself, for my family, and for my partner, so that I can enjoy my life in the way that I wish to. Okay, and unusually, they're going to ask you, would you like to ask a question? I don't usually get that.
I haven't got a question coming through. I'm just quite stunned at all that just came through you in one go.
Okay.
And how many emotions I've just experienced during those however many minutes that you've been channeling. So question, what's the question? How can I make this easier? Is all that's come through.
How can you make it easier? The easiest way, as we mentioned, is step one, understand, meet, and trust in the sentience that is this corporal body, okay? It's different to your personality of Katie Carey and all the knowledge that you contain. That's like a sacred, I feel quite emotional about it. It's a very important, very sacred ceremony that you need to conduct to connect with that sentience. That's step one. Okay, that is the easiest thing that you can do. And then step two is that you need to then trust that there is something else that needs to be done, that needs to remove that limiting belief or whatever it is that we do not comfortable. I see. We're not comfortable in saying it on a public podcast. That needs to be altered, modified, or removed. That is basically okay, so they've just all surrounded you, attacking your divine femininity. And it's not just you who have been subject to this, but it is. I'll explain it to you in an image. Imagine that you were given a crown, like a beautiful princess crown, Like something like, when we did that Happiest Moments of My Soul session and you saw the little girl on the bed. Imagine she had a beautiful fairy crown or a princess crown, or it's not the energy of a queen, it's gentler. Imagine somewhere in a lifetime or a dimension or a star or another location, you were given a crown and told that that crown did something very special. And actually, that crown has been working against you. So that analogy needs to be addressed. And it can't be addressed until you have addressed the sentience and made friends with the sentience that is your body. And the two will work together to remove this invisible thing that we don't wish to speak about publicly, that will then allow you to manifest the healing that you desire, to create the heaven on earth for your true health wealth in this lifetime. Is that as clear as mud? You got that?
I'll listen back to it after I've taken notes.
Yeah. Okay. So, right. Your dad is here and he waves and he says, this is not the time or the occasion, but Katische was wondering whether he was coming in, and he just waves and says, I'm here. Katie's done her work with me. I've got nothing to do with this time. He said the only advice that he would give would be to say, I've done a lot of work with me, my father. Is there anything I need to look at in the emotions that I feel towards my mother? Just as a check. And he said, perhaps you have. He doesn't watch you all the time, but perhaps, for example, all you need to do there is connect with okay. So a lot of women on earth at the moment have initially a difficult relationship with their mother. Over time it mellows, especially as their mothers get old and the child feels more sentimental towards them. But perhaps your poetry could just release one or two more things that would help you with this divine feminine energy exchange. Because as he says, once you've conquered your battle with your father, and your father is the representation, the very first representation you have of the divine masculine in your lifetime, before you meet anybody else, because you were seeded from the divine masculine interpretation, which is your father, and your divine feminine, which is your mother. And you had a lot to conquer with me in this lifetime, Katie, and you did it superbly. And now I don't know, because it's private between you and your mother, and Katische also doesn't know because she's never even heard you speak of your mother. Perhaps there is some reflection to polish off or round out that relationship so that you can be the divine feminine, and bring through any divine feminine energy in the circle of life that is making peace. We all on earth must make peace with our father and our mother. Oh, I got the wrong father and mother. So that, as you know, Katische is obsessed with ghosts. So that when we eventually, a long time in the future, do decide to discard our human suit, we are not held back by any feelings of regret, where possible, but towards any sibling or any parental figure. Mainly because, as you know, with your darling dad, as he said, I was imperfect. I caused you more pain than I could ever wish. But she is your friend in this lifetime again for a reason. And she wanted to make sure you shoot up straight away with that angel So some people have set firm boundaries that you will never be able to get through to. Some people on this earth you'll have had bad relationships with, and you just have to do your Ho'oponopono prayer over and over and over and over and over again until you feel that release. And some people, it is in your own healing that you begin to see others in their true light, and you are able to make peace with them before they cross over, or once they've crossed over, you can interact with them like you did with me, your dear dad. And this is wise for anybody who is listening to this message today, because none of us are aware at the time we are incarnated, unless you are the kind of soul who has an open communication with the lineages of the soul of your incarnated parents. None of us are really privy to the roles that your parents, your brothers and your sisters of any family or description have had with you in other lifetimes. And so we also can't, as Katisha's been told and stopped, yeah, see, sometimes your dad comes in and says things that I didn't realize. He and my spirit guide team have come in and said, no more for you, Katische, no more past life regressions, because you have a mind that will inquire till the end of time and it does not serve you. You've already researched enough past life regressions. And sometimes the most powerful thing, and Katisha's experienced some divine blessings recently, thanks to you, Katie, and introducing her back into the world of Dr. Joe Vitale and the Ho'oponopono prayer. Simply by connecting with an image of somebody who has troubled you, whether it is the divine feminine of your mother or it's another divine feminine role, somebody who had a motherly role in this lifetime. And again, we like to protect identities because this is the public podcast version, and we do realize that some of these messages are also for people who listen in. They go, oh yeah, okay. If there has been any divine feminine, so we call this a female that is incarnated, that has troubled you in any way, Katie, cast an image upon your third eye. Present them with a rose or a flower of your choosing, and then say over and over again, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I forgive you, I love you, thank you. And then Katische adds in, bless your soul and namaste. And what she finds is sometimes that is really hard to say, and she can't get the words right. They don't come out right. And she knows that that's really a tight energy ball, and that is an exchange between the two souls where there is still friction there, but that cannot be dealt with in this lifetime. So some of the things that your body may be feeling, and he said, I wasn't supposed to come in, according to your dad, is this divine feminine energy connection with another female, be it your mother or other, that needs you to do the Ho'oponopono work. But please try adding namaste and bless your soul, because what that does is the bless your soul or the namaste, whichever one or both of them, basically it allows the transformation of any negative energy or thought forms or demonic beings that are attached between you. So what it does is it says, I see the light in you, and I see that I may have a quarrel or had a quarrel with you either in this lifetime or another lifetime, but I see beyond that, and I will no longer allow it to control my lifetime, my body, my sentience, and my happiness in this lifetime, whether I'm aware of it consciously or not. But the Ho'oponopono prayer works miracles when you focus it specifically on the relationship between that you have between you and this other person, because it's more powerful than cutting a cord, an etheric cord, because it doesn't say, I no longer wish to be connected to you. It says, despite all, I bless you. And it may be hard for me, but my soul sees your soul and sees beyond all of that and sees all the way back to source energy and says, we were created to have an adventure. What a wonderful, strange, and sometimes fucked up adventure we've had, but bless your soul. And eventually, you may see them in weird moments when you're brushing your teeth or you're buying toothpaste at the shops, and you will see a version of them smile. And then you will know that you have begun to break through the karmic chains that tie you so that they can be like loose and not soul destroying or really tight within you, so that you're not bound together, so that you can make your way and don't have to repeat lessons in the next lifetime. Okay, what else is he saying? Oh, that was really quite energetic, that bit. Oh, so yes, just thank you again for following your instincts with the Ho'oponopono Divine Blessings group and the movie, because that prayer is very, very powerful. And even if you can say nothing else on your worst days when you have all the pain, Katie, if you can simply say, I love you, I love you, I love you, over and over again, or even just drink that water saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, the miracles work at a level that is inexplicable to human beings. Okay. And then your team just stood before me and they bowed and they said, that is the culmination of all what we have to say for you today. And we know that was a lot, but you'll get a transcription and you'll need to write a list of notes.
Thank you.
So I could really feel that tension. But yeah. Okay, let me just have a drink of water. Okay, I think I'm complete with that. Do you feel complete with that?
I do actually.
Yeah. I thought there might be something else that needed to come through, but that seems to encompass. I think your dad came through then in the end. He kind of sort of took over the spiritual teaching component of what I was going to do anyway, because he does like to give
Get
me a few,
involved.
yeah, he does like to get involved. He does like to jump in
No, and although
and surprise me.
consciously I've done a lot of work with the mother wound, there's still discomfort whenever we get together.
Right, okay. Yeah. 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 And
It makes sense.
yeah, it's hard. And like they said, you're not the only woman on earth who experiences that. And
No, and
sometimes,
I'm seeing this on another level now with the mother-daughter relationship with my daughter, who's now an adult.
yeah, yeah,
So it's yeah,
yeah,
I'm sandwiched between them both. So yeah, Ho'oponopono all the way.
yeah, yeah. I guess one of the things that I've been learning, Katie, is because, I trained in clinical hypnotherapy and past life regression therapy, but you worked with me beforehand when I was doing the sound healing as well. So I have a background in the sound healing. But as soon as I went into the hypnotherapy and the past life regression therapy world, I lost a focus on what you would call the unseen energetic healing. And so one of the things that they have been showing me in the last 6 months is how it's not an either or, how you can do both and how both are important, and how some of the little things that we can say to ourselves, it's impossible that that little prayer can make such a difference. But I've learned from my own world that it does. And in the middle of the night, when I wake up with fears and nightmares, which I've had a lot of recently as I've been processing a lot of my own stuff, what's the thing that I need to do? The only thing that I can do is I literally start chanting that Ho'oponopono prayer in the middle of the night. And if I can't get that out because I'm in a really bad fear state, it's just I love you, I love you, I love you, and then I send myself back to sleep saying I love you, because that's how I've learned that in those moments when my subconscious mind has processed something really chunky, I don't even have the capacity to reach out for my archangels, and I just have to ask my body to calm myself down. And the fastest, easiest way to do that is what I told you the other day, which you said you already did, which is heart on your hand on your heart, hand on your tummy. Body, please calm me down. I'm sorry. And then I chant I love you to myself until I fall asleep. And that helps me so that I can go back to sleep. And, we know that the dream state is the way that our subconscious mind processes things, and we can have horrendous dreams when we're going through some really meaty, beefy, chunky stuff that we don't wish to face in our conscious waking life, or we're not ready to. So the subconscious mind gives us that hand, and it can be quite frightening. And, we have to mother ourselves by telling ourselves that we love ourselves in the scariest moments. So even if we have a partner and they tell you they love you, there's that
No,
medicine.
it's more, yeah, it's important to love ourselves, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you said about the just saying love to the water, it popped into me that the first poem I channeled was love.
Yeah.
Do you remember? It's like
Yeah.
love. So that makes sense. And the Ho'oponopono prayer I used towards when I was in the process of ending my second marriage. I was chanting that constantly because I
Okay.
knew it would support me, and it did. And
Yeah.
that's a few years ago now. But I'd sort of lost that as well until the movie. I've
Yeah.
forgotten until the movie came back in, which
Yeah.
was through you anyway.
It's funny, and when I reread one of the poems that I wrote for the Soulful Valley Soulful Poems 4, and I realized it's the Ho'oponopono prayer, but written about fear. I reread it and I wrote, that's actually the poem is all through it. The prayer is all through the poem, and I didn't even realize it because I was writing a story about fear. So it's really interesting how you can be brought back to something that you didn't realize was important because you thought that life had to be really complicated and you had to use very complicated methods of visiting your superconscious mind. But sometimes, as they're teaching me, you don't have to do that. Sometimes you have to do the simple things, and then once you've ticked off the simple things, then you can be ready again to attend to things that are important that you otherwise might not attend to. But yeah, you've got to make your way through the layers of the onion. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you too.
It's all right.
I did a bit of ugly crying there at the beginning, so that's what's on the video.
Oh, right, did you? Well, I couldn't see you at all because I look up there and I'm very, very focused on the message that is coming through. And yeah, Venra is just waving and off he goes as well. So yes, the you of other lifetimes and your past life brother Venra are very protective of you. So that's nice. It's good.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Katie. Well, I will say thank you for participating, and I will just let the end be to say if you enjoyed this message and if you found this resonated even with you as a listener, because some messages are generic in that you can interpret them and find some understanding for your lives, please do us a favor and comment when you see this episode go live, because as Katie knows, as a podcaster, it can be quite a one-way journey when people can't comment like on Apple Podcasts. But if you see something, please send a message to Katie on any of her social media or to me and let us know how it resonated with you. Did you find it interesting? Did it trigger something in you? Did you get angry? Did you think that's a load of bullshit? Like, we open this up to you guys and gals so that you can benefit, because our souls have chosen to be teachers in this lifetime. And we need to know how it resonates with you. We need to know how it resonates, because we understand it can be very scary to take up opportunities like this, which is why I do these privately and on the podcast. But we salute and applaud the people who do come on. And so the last part of this is to say, I will always have these opportunities available privately, but the doors are closing for this kind of one-on-one podcast subsidized session, because I had envisaged 12 sessions. I've only had 2 people come forward, and that's fine. And maybe there wasn't meant to be any more, but I have got the next season written, ready to go, and I don't want to hold back that creativity, because the energy is ready. So if you want to take up this opportunity to be in the hot seat like Katie was today, then please make haste and book in before I launch the next season. Namaste. Thanks, Katie.
Namaste.